Right, what is happening? Just going to do a quick video talking to you about running. So I started running about June last year. It's nearly been a year now of running. It's been good, it's been hard. There's been a lot of different things that have happened throughout the year, and obviously 2020 is going to be the year of the runners. Since this isolation, everyone has been going mad on the roads. I've been seeing about 50 friends that I thought would never exercise in my life before joining Strava, so it's unreal. And I'm just going to kind of give you a bit of insight into my first year of running, what you might expect, things you can avoid, and how you can get like a smooth transition into hitting some PBs and some sick miles. Let's go. So with my first few months of running, I had a close friend in the gym, and he was actually a running instructor. And what he did was, first session, he took me out on a run. And we went up this hill near my house, and it's horrific. This hill is like Mount Everest, like steep, and it goes on forever. And he said, right, first session, all we're going to do is do sprints. We're just going to sprint up this hill for 20 minutes, up and down. So sprint up, slow recovery down, sprint up, slow recovery down. And he knew that I was well out of my depth, but he was putting me through that test as a mental challenge, and I couldn't even run by the end of it. My quads were on fire, calves were gone, and I couldn't believe what just happened. But I passed the first test, so that's good. Moving forwards, the kind of way he coached me and told me to go through it was that the majority of my runs should be easy. So when you're out for a run, he said, like, running is completely done by RPE, rate of perceived exertion. And that basically means is the effort you feel when you're exercising. And it said it shouldn't be any more than a 2 to 3 out of effort. So that's quite low. Do you know what I mean? From 1 being easiest, 10 being hardest, that's where he set me at. And I was a bit shocked by it, because I thought running, you should always go as fast as you can, hit PBs, try and hit a PB every time. But then he told me that that's kind of unsustainable. He said, don't worry, it'll be fine for the first few weeks, but after that you're going to start picking up injuries, knee injuries, foot, ankle, hip, even back, and what you'll notice is your times will probably plateau. And it took me a long time to gather that, and what's more important than that intensity is the volume. Like anything, even strength training, you really want to focus on getting volume in your training. If you're someone that's training consistently more throughout the week, you're going to get a better result than someone who's only doing 2 times a week. So look at it in that way. If you're running, make sure you're focusing on volume. You want to be making that RPE, so rate of perceived exertion, really easy, because that means you're going to be a lot more, it's a lot less taxing on the body, and you're going to be able to put in a lot more volume in the weeks, which means as the months and years go on, you're going to have so many more miles put on from the rest that your technique's going to be better, your running economy is going to be better, and overall you're going to find the running experience a lot easier. So that was the first thing. It come back to this 80-20 rule that I've been hearing everywhere, and he said 80% of your run should be easy, 20% should be hard. So for my first few maybe weeks of training, my long runs were about 4 or 5 miles. My speed sessions were on a track, and I was doing maybe 3 miles in total, but I'll do stuff like 400 meter reps. So I'd sprint, do a 400 meter lap as quick as I can, rest for about a minute or two, do that again non-stop for about 25 minutes. So that's how I was doing my speed work. And again, the long runs were just focusing on technique. So that moves me on to technique. What is running technique? What's it all about? How should you be running? Let me tell you. So first session I went with my coach, first ever running session. I've never learnt so much about running in my life. We literally went onto the road. First thing he says, tell me a bit about running. So I said, well, first thing you do, obviously, as you're running, land on your heel first, then come on the foot, so you can kind of be like you're rolling. Don't know, that's how I picture it, and you're like really smooth and consistent. First thing he said, nah, that is not how you run. The way in which you run should be mid-foot striking or landing on your forefoot, so you're on your toes, never heel first. By landing on the midfoot or the forefoot, what you're doing is you're allowing all the muscles in the foot to basically reduce that shock through the joints. This is why so many runners get injured so quick, because as you're landing on your heel, that's bone on concrete. If you're doing that consistently, you're just putting so much shock through the joint, and what you tend to find is your leg placement is flat as it hits, so you're not letting the joints, the elasticity of the joints absorb any shock. That shock's going straight through your back, straight through your hips, straight through your knee, and long term, that's how you get lots of injuries through incorrect running technique. So always make sure that when you're running, mid-foot strike. I'd recommend mid-foot striking. The only reason being is because I've really tried to emphasise that on your toes running, which is kind of the best version for it. If you look at that Elite Kipchoge, the guy that ran that marathon in under 2 hours, he was pretty much on his toes the whole way through. Really an efficient way of running. But what you kind of got to understand is that the calves will burn out very quick. Because you're always on tiptoes, the calves are going to take a lot of strain. And this is what I want to move on to. So the next, let's say, first 6 months of running, my calves were hurting all the time. So that's something you should expect to happen. The calves are going to hurt, they're going to be tight. You kind of just got to get through that phase. And now for me, when I'm running, never have calf problems. Usually it's the hamstrings that get hit first. Really important that you prioritise stretching. So after every run, commit to at least stretching out your calves, hamstrings, quads at the bare minimum. If you can, commit to at least a good 30-minute stretch routine. I would say every day. But obviously, if you that's a new discipline to you, at least once a week, twice a week at a best. And within this first 6 months of training, the calves were burning, the technique was so unnatural, and I was starting to enjoy running. So what I found was after maybe 3 or 4 months, my 5k PB'd, I was doing really well with 5ks. My long distance runs, my legs weren't getting as tired as quick as what they were used to. And I found in general I was enjoying running a lot more because every run wasn't killing me off. The run wasn't mentally draining. So what you got to understand is every run shouldn't be a hard run. 80% should be easy, 20% should be hard. So that's a little bit of technique covered for you. Another thing that I'd massively recommend is getting an app called Strava. So Strava's like the Facebook of running. Everyone goes on there, everyone's raving about their pace, how they got on, posting a selfie, like, ooh, out on a run, here's nature and that kind of thing. It's good to see. It's a very nice, good community of people. The running community is brilliant. Everyone's lovely. They're all positive. They're all just great people in the running community. So get yourself on Strava. And what Strava does is it allows you to kind of track your progress. So you can actually look back on my account and go scroll right to the bottom and you'll see my first ever run and see how I've progressed. You can see my weekly mileage. You can see how I've progressed my miles and then done a deload week. The periodisation of training is really important as well. Making sure you're working up for a few phases, do one relax week and building up that way, because if you're building up mileage consistently week after week after week, you're going to burn out at some point. So Strava's really good for that. There's a lot of community groups in Strava which is really good, and I found that Strava's quite, I don't know, it keeps you in check. Really important not to get too obsessed over it. You find sometimes on Strava you can look at the mileage, what am I running per mile, you get really obsessed over Strava miles. Something again my coach said, like, don't get involved with it. Just ignore the time, ignore the app, just use it to track your progress. Strava is definitely an app you want to get. When you get on Strava, important, join the Feel Good Fitness community. We got a club, we're tracking miles. I've got a run coach in the club, so join the Feel Good Fitness club. I've got a run coach that can help with any queries, and we can basically do the best we can to get you started with your running journey. I understand that there's so many people in this period of time, especially in isolation with this coronavirus, that are going out and thinking they're pro runners. Do you know what I mean? They're going on the roads, probably never run before in their lives, and they're running out like Mo Farah. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to set mad times, and you see a lot of them are burning out within a mile or two because they're just overpacing it. So it's going to be a mad time, and I think running's going to really pop off this year just because of what's going on. And it's important that people get it right first time. So looking at a few of the things that I've recommended about getting that running technique right, maybe getting on Strava and joining the community. But lots of people are going to go into this with the wrong technique, thinking about running each run as fast as they can, and we're going to end up with loads of injured people. Do you know what I mean? Some people haven't even walked as far as a mile, now they're going out for runs, and you've got to understand that intensity on the body. Running is a very complex movement, and it takes time to build up that movement. Understand as well, it is a long journey. So running, first maybe year, obviously your legs are going to get conditioned to it, your technique's going to be improved upon, but you can't expect too much improvements from run time. Maybe in the first few months you get them beginner gains, but then after that, expect it to be a grind. That's everything covered. Anyone out there looking to start running, make sure you get your technique right, Make sure that you're not overdoing it to start. Build it up real slow. Maybe commit to 1 or 2 runs in the first week. Do that for the next few weeks. Build it up real slow. As I say, join Strava, join Feel Good Fitness Club, and we'll get you started all for free and send you in the right direction. Hopefully that gave you some insight and some understanding of running. Cheers.